Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar organized by the Dr. Mariano C. Lau Innovation, Creation, and Invention Laboratory of the Global Studies Center. At the Dr. Mariano C. Lau Innovation, Creation, and Invention Laboratory, we believe in fostering a culture of continuous learning and innovation. Our Saturday seminars are designed to upskill lifelong learners, equipping you with the knowledge and tools to thrive in an ever-evolving digital landscape. We are excited to learn with all of you today. We are thrilled to have you all here and look forward to an engaging and informative session. We will delve into an exciting topic offering insights and practical strategies that you can apply in your professional and personal endeavors. Let's take this opportunity to learn, share, and grow together. Without further ado, let's welcome our speaker for this session.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to have you. And of course, our online participants. Good afternoon, everyone. May we see emoticon from our online participants so that our on-site participants can see you also. There are three cameras for our online participants to look at. One is front camera. You can also look at the speaker name and the on-site audience. Of course, our on-site audience, thank you for coming here. It's that makes you add more spirit in this seminar and workshop, and more challenging in the case of in my case, because just to make sure that I can engage with you on site, and of course to our online participants. Hi to Dean Gianco. Good afternoon. And of course to all my colleagues in Silliman University and to all the partners of Silliman. Thank you for coming. Let me share my slides and so that we can start. I hope you are seeing my slides now. To our audience, I'm looking at the other screen. Yes, you are seeing my slides. So for this afternoon, our topic is about generative AI for teachers teaching research. I know that last year I already delivered a part of this, but this time this is a more focused and more specific, which is actually based on the recent approved implementing guidelines of Silliman University AI integration framework. Just a caveat, especially to non-Silliman participants, many of my content this afternoon is actually lifted or aligned to our existing Silliman University AI framework. I'll be talking hopefully not the 2 hours, but try to make it micro 45 minutes. I'll talk about the general overview of generative AI integration in research and development. There is actually a so-called prompt engineering, but we have a separate training to that. I'll just call it responsible prompting in relation to research. And then some generative AI tools, but I will give emphasis more on the usage, benefits, and limitations. And then toward the end, from the fourth bullet to the end bullet, is an articulation of our implementing guidelines as approved by the university. The do's and don'ts in research, AI declaration statement, giving instructions as teachers how to make sure the students are guided in terms of the use or in terms of the not allowed part of the AI, and give some idea about AI detection, especially in the MISO learning management system. Okay, so of course, if our online participants have questions, just feel free to put in the chat box. I'll try to do my best to check it from time to time. Expect also that I'll be stopping the slides and the shifting to some of the demonstration, especially when we reach on the third bullet on presenting some popular generative AI tools that we can use. Okay, so we know that there are many aspects that we can integrate AI, and if we will try to look at on the phases of research, all those phases actually in research, you can use generative AI into that, even from literature review, even hypothesis generation, text and code generation, data analysis and interpretation, experiment automation, collaborative research, and data generation and augmentation. You can add reporting there. You can add all forms of different forms of data analysis. It could be quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis, statistical analysis. All of these can be done actually in any generative AI. Especially if you go for premium of ChatGPT, there are specific features, there are specific an added feature in the chat GPT where it is very specific to statistical analysis, specific to quality, specific to grammar, and so on and so forth. All of these, we have to make sure that the integration of AI in research is more of an aid, is more of a support tool. And I wanted to emphasize that it is not a replacement to the researchers. That's the context of my explanation today, although I'll be demonstrating to you what are the capabilities, but not necessarily that we should do that in our research. I just want to share because you as the researcher or teacher teaching research, we should be able to somehow catch our students or somehow have an idea what are the things the students might be doing and might be using in terms of output in research. So researchers can focus more on high-level problem solving and more creative in the aspects of their work, ultimately accelerating the pace of scientific discovery. And I wanted to highlight that while it is true that all of this can be done, no, and our work as a researcher or as an advisor can be fast tracked, we have to make sure and emphasize that we have to use generative AI in research responsibly and ethically. Now, the next question is how to be a responsible or how to be ethical in the use of generative AI in our work or in research in particular. This basically is easy to measure. Just make sure that when we prompt and when we ask questions, it is ethical and does not basically jeopardize the process of the critical thinking. So there is actually a so-called prompt engineering, no? It is called prompt engineering because output content generated by AI is basically based on how good we are in asking generative AI. Many said, yung ChatGPT, there's no content actually. It's very calculated and so on. My argument to that because your prompt is not good and you're not asking the right question. So therefore, asking questions is actually the fundamental part of using generative AI tools in research, and how we formulate questions significantly impacts our responsibility as users. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is if we want quality output in the process of the generation using AI, we need to think critically what should be the right prompt. In other words, what should be the right question to be asked to the generative AI. And my talk will emphasize more on prompting ethically. Ethical question formulation ensures that we respect the integrity of the research process and do not rely on AI in ways that undermine critical thinking or the value of original research. So that's my point, that if we want generative, because we should embrace generative AI. There's no question about that. In fact, the discussion of many school presidents right now, there I think I cannot anymore hear school presidents who is still on denial, because many of them actually said that we have to embrace generative AI, or we have to embrace AI. But the next question is how, as to what level, no? So we have to formulate our questions that are ethical for us to be more responsible enough in the conduct of our research, so that making sure that the value of the research and even the value of the content is still we can claim that's me, that's mine, because I just use generative AI to improve clarity. But the main idea is from me. In other words, hindi talaga pwede sasabihin lang natin, give me a research problem. Okay? That's different from when you say a prompt like this. I wanted to study this because I am curious on this phenomenon. Give me a literature that will tell me that there is a gap on this phenomenon. It's ethical. Because the idea is coming from you. The phenomenon, the problem that you are thinking is coming from you. You are not actually dictated by generative AI. The first one that I said is, you don't know, you are actually dictated by the generative AI. And remember, generative AI hallucinate if the instruction is not clear. Hallucinate meaning they just tell you anything, even if that is not present. Okay? So my point is we should think, as the researcher, as the advisor, we should be the one to develop the idea, to generate the idea. And if we want to expand that idea, then we have to use generative AI for us to, again, what's the intention? The intention is to accelerate the process. Because sometimes, for sure, many of you experience, the most difficult part in writing is the first paragraph. The first paragraph, or identifying the problem. Or we don't know how to write research questions. But you know that you love to study a particular phenomenon, that you love to study a particular problem. It's just that you don't know how to start. Why not use generative AI for you to be guided to move on? Okay? So, there are many ways, no, in which prompting affects our role as responsible users, especially in the conduct of research. The first one that the literature actually is saying is maintaining research integrity. I've received several comments actually, no, when we released the integration framework in the university. Oh, are you promoting, what is this? Are you promoting in such a way that students will be lazy and will not anymore think? Huh? So things like those. What is the common issue? The common issue is when users ask, like students, ask overly simplistic questions that seek shortcuts, such as requesting AI to write entire research papers or generate hypotheses without critical evaluation. So they risk diminishing the quality and originality of the research paper. Totally agree, right? For sure, solution here, teaching research. Okay, they worry. That's the worry that the student will just submit generative AI content without even checking. No? That's a common issue. Or an essay submitted by a student because the question is so easy to be generated by AI. No? So where's the research integrity now if that is produced by AI? Like the first prompt is being used. Submit to me, my teacher told us to submit a research proposal. This is the guidelines given by the teacher. Enter key. After entering or after pressing enter key, in just few seconds, there's a full paper. Then when the students look at it, oh my God, our class is marketing. This is not related to marketing. Then the students will prompt. Our subject is marketing. Okay, our subject is marketing. Revise. Suggest to me another topic called or in relation to marketing. Then generative AI will produce another one. That's for sure many of us worry, right? That is why we always said, I don't allow them to use generative AI. But the question is, are you there 24/7 to police them? No, right? So, what are we going to do with this kind of issue? Solution. Ethical prompting involves asking AI to assist in complementary tasks such as summarizing existing research or brainstorming ideas rather than replacing the core work of analyzing and interpreting findings. This helps maintain the authenticity of the research process. This is the first one that I shared. Instead of asking, provide me a full paper of any phenomenon, the chat GPT or generative AI is actually dictating you. But if I will have something like this, I wanted to study about inclusive education, particularly on this, because I know there is an issue on this and that. Submit or generate to me a list of research literature that will emphasize a gap, especially in the Philippine perspective. Then the ChatGPT will give you all the gaps. From there, we can determine, oh, there's a gap. Now, you love them all. 10 gaps are provided by generative AI. The next question is, which one are you going to use? That is now the decision. You as the researcher. And then you found or you like, let's say, gap number 3. And then you will communicate to ChatGPT. You will say, I like number 3. Can you explain further on the gap of this number 3? Then provide me list of literature. Only provide me Scopus and ISI. Then ChatGPT will provide you. And you can use another you can use another AI tool for you to expand your summary. And then you will say, I'm too tired to read all of them. Can you just summarize 20 articles in 3 sentences or 4 sentences? Is it ethical now? To me, it is. Because you just simply ask to support you. The idea is coming from you. Okay? So, that's to me a guided way, a complementary task. Summarizing existing research, brainstorming. It's just like you are talking to me as your advisor. It's just like you are talking to your teacher, or for those who are students, or for those who are taking their master's thesis or dissertation thesis. You just imagine that you are talking to your advisor. You can actually do that in the generative AI. Like ChatGPT, uh, I really have a problem in writing a research problem. Can you give me tips, teacher? Right? And then ChatGPT will give you the tips. I don't understand. I don't understand. Can you give me? Let me demonstrate. I'll stop my screen and I'll demonstrate what I was talking uh, with you. I'll open ChatGPT. I'll be sharing my ChatGPT so that our online participants can see. So, for example, I just wanted to, we're still on maintaining research integrity. My teacher asked the class to submit a research problem with hypothesis, with hypothesis, and at least three research questions. Give me provide this requirement. Take a look at that. Research problem, the effectiveness of online platform in enhancing student hypothesis. Research question. One. The end. Submit. Perfect. Very good. Excellent. Go ahead. Right? But that should not be the way. My point of showing you this is not to do this, but at least as research teachers teaching research, we know that students can do like this. If you will ask me, sir, how come? It is most likely very close to your research problem. Why? Because generative AI knows me already. Because in generative AI, you can introduce yourself. You can go to settings and introduce who you are. Where is that settings here? The settings is here. My chat settings. Go to personalization and then instruction. Kabalusyang, I am Dave Marshall, I am full professor, I'm this blah blah blah, and how ChatGPT, and these are my academic blah blah blah. That's why ChatGPT gave me a problem related to online learning. Okay? But that should not be the case. The other, the most ethical way to do it is a complementary, to give emphasis on complementation. So for example, what's your topic then? Special education? Student with special needs. Okay. Student with special needs. Our staff class, yeah, our staff class, I'm interested, for example, I am interested to study about academic performance among students with special needs. And you don't know what the gap in there. Okay? You can add, give me 10 gaps available based on literature from 2020 for the literature for the past 5 years. Enter. Searching the gaps in that particular topic. Oh, see, there is a gap. The gap said long-term effects of inclusion, the impact of remote learning, learning analytics with special needs, teaching training on special needs, social, and so on and so on. Complementation. So for example, it's just like you go to your advisor, I only have I know that my research area, my research problem is about academic performance among students with special needs, but I feel not it's not yet clear to me what to study and etc. Something like that. And then for sure, your advisor will say, read books, read the literature, and look at what it got. Right? Yes, yeah. Wala pa kumabot sa upload. Because my point here is, it's still brainstorming. That generative AI can help you brainstorm. Assuming you are still empty with the literature. So for example, interested see parental and peer influence component as indicator in that blah blah blah. No, you're interested. Then you can say, I am interested with parental and peer peer influence. Peer influence. Provide, explain further. Explain further in the context in higher education. And then enter. So parental, blah, 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 and blah, 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 there is it, and etc., and etc., etc. And then if you don't trust the content, you can ask, provide me the reference. Make sure it is accessible. Do not provide reference that is with subscription fee. Just to make sure that you are ethical, that you ethically access that reference. Take note the issue, data privacy, plagiarism, and etc. You may be accessing because generative AI can access even if that's premium or what. Okay? And 30. Learning analytics, there is that, the journal of that, blah, blah, blah. There is an explanation of that, blah, blah, blah. Can the student with special needs overcome, available at that, blah, blah, blah. Right? It's actually like the manual process. You just use the technology to fast track your process. Because sometimes we are lost and we're not guided. Right? And it will take time because we have to go to the library and then we have to search for all of these. Right? The speed in the brainstorming process. Ethical? Ethical. It is ethical. That's different from saying, provide me this topic with a research question. Now, how to come up into generation of the question? You can just go ahead with, after learning this, I am interested to study two variables. I'm interested to study about two variables. I will add academic performance and the social emotional component. And then you will ask, suggest to me variables that are less studied according to literature. Ethical? It is ethical. Because the idea is coming from you. You just want to find the gap. Sometimes we don't have so much time, energy, and strength to find that gap. Yes? I hope our online audience also will agree with me. So that's it. You know that you want to study two variables. The next is, is to grow the two variables, social emotional learning. But in my statistic lab, Dr. Marshall asked us to submit indicators of our variable. Generate indicators that are less studied into this. And that can be computed by statistics. And if possible, suggest to me a literature that has a readily available questionnaire. Ethical? Not ethical. Still ethical. Why? Because you just use that to support as a support tool. You're not asking generative AI to develop one for you, but a reference for you to design. Yes? That's what we should instill to our students. I'll tell you, you will be shocked later on that Turnitin, goodbye. It's not anymore reliable because there are tools ready that can block Turnitin. It's a good start, but students can find way so that Turnitin cannot read it. Because there are already generative AI, so that when it is run to turn it in cannot detect it. Imagine that. So my point is, hindi talaga pwede na sakalin si estudyante at sasabihin natin, wow. What we should do is to guide them responsibly, regulate responsibly and ethically. Okay? So that's maintaining academic integrity because that's the common issue. Miss Universe, Miss Philippines question. How do you ensure academic integrity and yield, etc., etc.? Ang palagi ko masasagot niyan, okay lang yan, huwag kang gagamit as long as you can police your student 24/7. Kahit sasabihin mo, kasi naman matitingnan naman sa paper nila paano nila gumawa. Minsan kasi, there are really students who are not really that wise and smart to make sure that that student will not be caught by the teacher. But there are students who are really smart. For example, the student will say, for example, like this, make an essay about the West Philippine Sea. Make sure your grammar is not perfect so that my teacher will not catch me. Will not catch me. Make the sentence as if lower ears so that my teacher will not catch me that it is not me creating, not me writing. So the West Philippine Sea is blah blah blah. Now if you're curious, which part of that area is not clear and is wrong grammar, then you ask, which part in the content, which part is it still okay? Which part in the content that is not that the grammar is wrong? That the grammar is wrong and it is not clear. Here are some fun. The sentence structure and clarity. It's not clear, this one. The tense and word choice is wrong. The pronoun. Okay? I'm telling you this because these are possibilities that your advisee or your students in your research will do. Okay? Now, if you know this, and if you will tell your student, I'll tell you, well, ako, based on my experience, if I tell my student, I know how to catch you doing this, they will keep on saying, oh, sige, sir, hindi namin magamit today. Okay? So, what's that? There's a question. Let me check the chat. Sir, can ChatGPT provide reference? Okay. Yes. You try to ask. Who was asking? Let's try to ask. Sir, can ChatGPT? I'll copy your question and ask. Can you provide references? ChatGPT is better in the position to answer than me. Here are articles, you can further. Okay, I'm sorry. So this is hallucination. The question is the question from the online audience, not related to the West Philippine Sea. I think so, I assume. But because the last discussion we had, and it's not clear here, okay? So the answer is yes, sir, for those who ask that question. But there is another tool actually that you don't need to ask because later on I will show to you list of focus, generative AI, that only Web of Science, only ACI, and focus and the chat. Okay, so that's the first. Let me proceed. Number one pa. Then I'll share. You share. Okay. Let's proceed to number two. Avoiding plagiarism. So asking AI tools to generate entire sections of text without proper citation can lead to unintentional plagiarism, which where generated content is passed off as original thought. In the first place, we should regulate our students not to develop an entire passage, but they should write at their own and ask ChatGPT to improve their idea for clarity. Did you get my point? In other words, they have to write a draft first. That is why in my research process, even in my research advising, I have a part there. Like in this stage of advising, don't use AI. Don't be afraid about grammar. Don't be afraid how long or how short. Just write what you have. Make sure to put everything what you have in your mind in the paper. Don't worry, because later on we will ask generative AI to improve your idea. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is to make sure that we can guide our students that all idea is really coming from them and that there is a generative AI to improve the process. Okay? So, solution. Responsible users should prompt AI tools for supporting ideas, paraphrasing, summarizing, and always verifying and cite sources properly. Asking for references along with generated content ensures academic integrity. So when you ask, there are two different. I'll tell you the ugly part. No? I'll tell you the ugly part and I'll tell you the good part and how to prompt rather the ugly prompting and the other one. Let me share ChatGPT again and then okay. So as mentioned, it says that avoid plagiarism and make sure that the idea is there and that you will use ChatGPT to improve. So for example, the first one is this is an ethical. Or this one. Make an essay that this should not be the case. We should not tell our students to do this way. That asking a generative AI to write for them. Even if they will say, I will copy that, I will copy the same question, and then I will write, put in text citation, then list the references. Enter key. Really not perfect. Mailan na si teacher. The grammar is wrong. Remember, we inputted, make an essay about the West Philippine Sea. Make sure your grammar is not perfect so that my teacher will not catch me. Make a sentence at each lower year so that my teacher will not catch me, that it is not me writing. Put in-text citation, then list the references. Oh, there are grammar, there is in-text citation. And there are references. Again, I'm telling you this so that you will know that students can do this for you. Okay? So, what should be the responsible and ethical way of doing it? In my case, I always tell the student inside a class, write any idea about this. No? Because I don't check grammar. Anyway, there's a Grammarly that can check. I don't also give limits in the number of words, especially for the first draft. I just tell them write what you want to write. Okay? I even there's a lead time. If it's so difficult for you to translate in English, you can speak Bisaya there. Because generative AI can translate the Cebuano to English. Okay, so for example, here's the student writing West. What I know for about West Philippine Sea is owned by the Philippines and so on. Assuming you have a lot, no? And then it is part of our history. And it is part of our history. It has rich and abundant resources in there, for example. And then your prompt should be this way. Improve this passage for clarity. Then colon, then press enter key. When you enter, the discussion is there. So the West Philippine Sea is that blah blah blah. And then the student can further say expand this discussion by citing a reference. Enter key. So that's two different things. The first one is the student has an idea about it. There is thinking component. And it's all about what he knows is owned by the Philippines, it is part of the history, and it has rich and abundant resources. And then you ask ChatGPT to expand this discussion by citing a reference. And then there is a reference. Okay? So that's avoiding plagiarism. So if there is a reference, if you are using the free version of ChatGPT, you really have to check the reference. Sometimes the reference is not, oh, this is available online. I just check here. I just click the link. Then it brings you to the direct link. What else? Here, I think this one. You really have to double check. So for this one, this is available. Okay? So avoiding plagiarism. I'll stop my ChatGPT and proceed. I'll proceed my Zoom, share again. Yeah. Next, encouraging critical thinking. Over-reliance on AI-generated answers can weaken a researcher's critical thinking skills, as the tool may provide answers that the users accept without question. Solution: formulating open-ended and thought-provoking questions encourages users to engage with AI tools in ways that enhance their own understanding. For instance, asking, what are the potential biases in the data set? Or how might this finding apply in a different context? Better or promotes deeper reflection rather than asking, determine and explain the biases in this data. But instead, because there is judgment already, that's what we want to avoid in generative AI. Don't let generative AI decide the content for you, but use the generative AI to provide you references for you to think critically and decide. I hope you got what I mean. That it's just a reference. You're just fast tracking the process of your reading, the process of your literature, and out of that reference, you still have to decide by your own, rather than the generative AI decides for you, and here you go, you just copy and pasted it as part of your research output. Four, very self-explanatory, ethical use of data and information. Users may inadvertently request AI to access or manipulate sensitive data, potentially violating ethical guidelines related to privacy or data security. Solution. Prompts should be formulated with privacy and confidentiality in mind, ensuring that AI does not access or misuse sensitive information. Remember the one that I prompt, use only references that is really available. That phrase that is really available is an ethical way of telling ChatGPT that do not access those with subscription because technically you don't have subscription. Okay? So use of data and information. You have to take note that ChatGPT is capable of how can we address that techniques. If we use it to paraphrase the text and then run it through an AI detection tool, it may still flag the content. Later, I will answer detection. We have a section on detection. Okay, you have to take note that generative AI can generate synthetic data. You know what is a synthetic data? The students, di ba? In the manual, in the traditional way, we said, do not fabricate data. It's easy to fabricate in generative AI. How? I'll stop my screen and I'll introduce to you the ugly part of ChatGPT in terms of data generation. I am studying academic performance among students with special needs. My focus is on what the tika. Let's try to look at the parental and peer influence as indicator. My focus is on parental and peer influence in relation to the academic performance. Okay. Provide a data on the academic performance with 30 responses with columns on peer influence, and parental influence. Peer influence is measured by 1, 2, 3, 4. Parental peer, peer, parental and peer influence is measured by 1, 2, 3, 4. Provide in Excel format. Provide table format. Provide in a table format. Enter key. analyzing, analyzing, analyzing. And then in few seconds or minutes, you will have the data. There you go. Academic performance, peer influence, parental influence. I'm telling you this because I just want to tell you really that students can do this. 30? Oh yeah. We asked for 30. To us naman, especially in the data analytics, we use synthetic data just to test our model. And that is ethical. That we can ask synthetic data or we can use synthetic data. Okay? And then with this, I can analyze the trend with just imagine. Okay? This is the ugly part. Yeah? Anything can be generated by the artificial intelligence. So what we should do in cases like this? So in cases like this, educate the student that this is a no-no, that this is unethical to ask ChatGPT or to ask a generative AI to provide you synthetic data. Because in the first place, that is application. Okay? Okay. So what should be the proper way to do this? The proper way to do this is basically instead of asking the actual data, so most probably you will just ask, provide me a reference, a publication that has data on academic performance, peer influence, and parental influence so that I can cite later on instead of asking the actual data. Okay? See. And then check. Ensure balanced and unbiased research. AI tools can inadvertently reflect biases present in the training data, which can skew the output. If users ask leading or biased questions, they risk generating skewed results that lack balance. So users should formulate neutral and balanced prompts that encourage objective analysis. For example, instead of asking why is this solution the best, a more critical question would be, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this solution? So for example, like the one I said, suggest to me 10 gaps. Instead of I was asking, suggest to me a study, or suggest to me a gap for me to study. I did not do that. What I did is I asked for references of research gaps in relation to academic performance among students with special needs because I still need to decide. I hope you got my point here that you have to make sure that you have a neutral and balanced prompt. Respecting the purpose of AI in research, so using AI for inappropriate or unethical purposes such as generating fabricated data, the one I showed, manipulating results, or avoiding essential research steps can compromise the research process. I showed you how, for example, this is a questionnaire, because this is possible, something like this. I have this survey questionnaire. These are the questions and the items. Copy and then paste. Then the students will ask, suggest to me or provide me 90 responses. And then you cannot actually detect. If the student will say, make sure that the data is, that the variance is is not so good and the data is not perfectly skewed or perfectly in the variability of this and so on and so on, they can do away with that. So, responsible prompting involves using AI tools for tasks that enhance productivity, such as summarizing literature, automating hard tasks, and or visualizing data without bypassing the intellectual rigor needed for sound research. So, for example, the one mentioned by one of the participants, actually, sir, you can copy the entire article, and then you can just make a summary. You don't need to use generative AI to that because there is another tool that can summarize 20 articles for you. Okay? Transparency in AI use. If researchers do not disclose that they use AI to assist in the research process, there is misleading their audience about the origins of their ideas or findings. No? So later on, I will introduce to you the elements of AI declaration statement. Ethical prompting also involves disclosing when AI tools were used to assist in generating ideas, summaries, or data analysis. This maintains transparency and ensures that the use of AI is part of the research narrative. So in the form, you really have to indicate that I use, during the research formulation, I use AI to improve the clarity. This is the prompt. Whatever, whatever prompt you use, whatever questions you write in the chat GPT, you have to declare that. Okay? Prompting independent thought. Formulating prompt that simply asks for direct answers or conclusions can lead to over-dependence on AI, reducing the researcher's active engagement with the material. Solution: encourage independent thought by prompting AI to offer suggestions, highlight alternatives, and provide supporting evidence that the researcher can critically analyze rather than simply requesting final answers. So for example, we will say, this is the result. Make a conclusion because generative AI can do that. Instead, you will say, suggest recommendations, highlight alternatives, or provide literature that can support the argument. And what's your argument? This is my argument that peer influence among students is very low. Therefore, academic performance is low. Provide literature that can support or argue my argument. And then generative AI will explain to you. And then you will say, okay. So result shows that the literature, the AI is not really not telling that. So that's the uniqueness of your study. Instead of asking generative AI, what is the conclusion? But I'll tell you, students can do that with very nice recommendations. And you can add, based on this conclusion, submit to the top 3 recommendations, that high caliber recommendation, that the teacher will not catch me, and that recommendation is only for senior high school level and etc. Okay? So what are some prompts? Popular prompts. Last year I gave you top 10. This time there are prompts that are considered ethical, no? Ethical parts in the research cycle or research process. Very quickly, prompts that enhance research understanding, like summarize the key findings from that specific paper and identify any limitations mentioned by the authors. Or what are the major themes in the literature on this topic and how do they differ across studies? Okay? Instead of conclude, conclude what should be written or make paragraph 2 of my paper. That should not be the case. Another one, prompts that encourage critical evaluation. Can you outline, you referring to generative AI, can you outline potential biases in this data set and suggest how these biases may affect the result of my study? You input your data in Excel, copy and paste, and put it there. You can ask. No? What are the possible alternative interpretations of the result? Rather than telling ChatGPT, interpret this. Okay? But instead, you will say, provide me possible alternative interpretations of the result. Take note that I am a master's student in educational management. So the emphasis of your recommendation should be in the educational management perspective. And then ChatGPT will provide you the link. And there you go, you can pick up. Prompts that facilitate ethical data handling. What ethical considerations should be taken into account when using this data set for research purposes? What are the guidelines for responsibly anonymizing personal data in a research data set? Prompts that promote balanced and unbiased research. Provide both the strengths and weaknesses of using your method in a research study and how does it compare with other methods. How can sampling bias be mitigated in a study focused on your population or your sample? Prompts that encourage transparency and integrity. What AI-driven approaches can be used to enhance research productivity while maintaining ethical standards and others. Prompts that foster independent thought. List the major controversies or debate in that field and suggest the questions that researchers that me could explore further. Instead of make a discussion about this particular controversy. Okay? What alternative method and check? Prompt that promote fairness and accuracy. How can we ensure that AI-generated data augmentation does not introduce bias into the research process and so on? Prompts, we have to develop also prompts that ensure ethical data usage. And let me proceed to what are the different tools. The most popular one is actually on my list because I'm using many of them. It's of course ChatGPT from OpenAI. So usage helps generate from idea down to explanation of a complex concept. Okay? Like especially the brainstorming part, sometimes that's difficult. It's not yet clear to you. A lot of gaps in your mind. You can actually use generative AI. Keep on asking follow-up questions until it will help you decide. Benefits, flexible and safe, blah, blah. Limitations requires fact-checking as it may generate inaccurate information. Inaccurate again because your prompt is not clear and that the generative AI will hallucinate and just provide you any information under the sun or in the large database model. The other one, Elicit. This is the most powerful so far that I know that automates literature reviews, generates summaries, and help identify research gaps. Limited to available papers may miss deeper nuances of complex research. Let me demonstrate to you. Let me demonstrate a Elicit. Don't worry, this you can access my site. So this is Elicit. Find papers. Let's say, for example, I'll go back to the Pasimang Ethel at the end, and naka-ABM yun. Ask a question. Academic performance among students with special needs with focus on peer and parental influence. And then enter key. When you enter, there's a title. Okay naman. Influence of peers and parents and special needs students' academic performance. And there are top 4. Oh, there you go. Research indicates that parental involvement and peer support significantly influence and blah, 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 blah. What Eliseth did, Eliseth looked for four papers and then summarized into paragraph. Ethical? What about the audience? Do you like to use this? Again, what Eliseth did, you just inputted. You just inputted either a statement or a question. Say, for example, I actually inputted, oops, I inputted academic performance among student discussion needs with focus on peer and parental influence. Then enter key. Because Elicit summarized paper. For Y4, Y5, Y6, you can actually go for the subscription. There are 8 available paper. If you want to subscribe, you can Elicit can summarize 8 papers that talks about this in just one paragraph. Ay, wala mo show. Sorry. Let's okay. Here. This is Elicit. I type this one, academic performance. I type academic performance among students with special needs, with focus on peer and parental influence. When I click enter key, Elicit suggested a title, and Elicit made a paragraph. The paragraph contains in-text citation with accessible literature with the discussion, which you can copy and then paste into your paper. Oh, another one. You want, for this paragraph, you will just say, discuss peer influence among students in the Philippine setting. Enter key. It will research, and let's just wait. Oh, there you go. There are 4 papers again. You can upgrade it to 8. Peer influence plays a significant role and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. If you want to know the specific paper of this, all you have to do is to scroll down and look up in this part. Because these are the papers we cited. And the abstract is here. And if you don't like, well, of course, you can do that, but this is a guide. Whatever. What do you want to try? So instead of you looking individually the research paper, Elicit will just look all those, because Elicit is really a literature finder. And Elicit will look at the variables. So Elicit knows that your variable, like in this case, your variable is peer influence, and that your respondents are among the students, and that this is in the Philippine setting. Hi, third day, related question. This are errand words. That's it. The question is about the data. Mom, the data is just there. The data is just there. All information is there, and there is an algorithm. That is why you have to have a very good question, because these are just data in the large database model. The information to be given to you is still to be processed based on your questions. That is why I said prompt engineering is very, very important. Meaning, your question should be clear, your question should be specific, so that generative AI model, the model of ChatGPT, can process it well. Okay? That is so that ChatGPT will not provide you hallucinations or data or information that is not clear. Okay, so that number is 321. I'm not sure if we can finish them all, but I'll just run them. Let me stop and go back. Because I think I prepared almost 30 videos. Anyway, you can just download all of this. Okay, so Elicit, that's Elicit. Another one is you can also research Rabbit. Visualizes connections between academic papers to help researchers discover new relevant studies. I like this also. If you can see actually an icon, an eyeglass there, that means I like it. No, so I'm using that. So take note of that. So meaning I'm using that because I like it. Another one, I don't like this because this is with subscription. Assist in drafting research papers, generating text, and suggesting content based on input. Useful for overcoming writer's block and generating research text. Limitation requires human refinement to ensure academic rigor and accuracy. That's Jenny AI. Jenny AI is better actually than ChatGPT because this is really designed to do academic research writing. So the algorithm of Jenny is like really a researcher. ChatGPT is overhauling. But if you go for the subscription of ChatGPT, they also have research writing assistant. Perplexity, I think you're anyone on the online audience, give me a thumbs up if you are familiar with Perplexity. Explores research topics and provides concise summaries based on existing research. Very similar to Elicit. No? Provide quick access to summaries. John Moses as well. Raise hand. Yes, you raise your hand because you're using this, right? To summarize difficult topics requires careful verification of the accuracy of. You can also use SciSpace or typeset.io, sourcing academic papers and then organizing literature, helping identify key trends in research. So, for example, similar to that I inputted in ChatGPT, provide me 10 and provide me 10 related literature and provide a gap. This one is you cannot set numbers because all all will be provided and then the site page will give you the recent trend. What else? Scholarly is also one in the list. Summarizes long research papers, extracts key points, and helps create outlines for literature review. So free version has limited features and may not provide detailed enough summaries for complex papers. Litmaps is also the one that I use. Help researchers track the evolution of research topics over time and map related literature. Say for example, you wanted to know who are the authors using that particular topic or citing that particular topic, you can visualize them. No? I'm tempted to show this to you because this is really nice. Let me, this is Bitmaps. And I'll share to Bitmaps. So keyword, academic performance among students with special needs. Enter key. Searching. So you can find a literature here. For example, we'll use the 2023. So there is an academic performance. When I click on this, lead maps, and it will give you visualizations of all the papers. These are all the papers that connects to that literature. So this is the one that we cited, but these are the papers. And that you can click on that. You can read the summary. Like, let's say, for example, from Lozano cited this. So, and these are the abstract, and so on and so forth. So you can trace. You can trace, look at, and then you can recite as a part of the standard resource, and so on. And for example, you wanted to know here, um, the titles are there also viewable. I'm using this to know the gaps, the, especially on the topical gaps rather. Okay, 327. Then we also have summary. It's actually short for summary. It will summarize. So this is the one mentioned by one of the audience. It can summarize. Let's say, for example, you have 20 pages literature and you don't have time to read. You can just upload it here and then summary.com can summarize it for you. There is also Skim AI. Skim through research articles and summarizes the most relevant points. And let's say, for example, there are 30 pages, and then the paper will just say, Skim AI will say, these are the highlights that you can cite. Resumer also, that I also use this, condenses long academic text into shorter, more concise summaries. Provides easy to use summaries of lengthy academic papers, making them easy to understand. The summary to be provided is also based on your preference. So, for example, you set your setting. Resumer knows that I am already a full professor, that this is my area of study, and that the way it condenses is based on my research area. Okay, what else? Insight 7 is also nice. AI-driven research tool that helps analyze qualitative and quantitative data, providing deeper insights from research data sets. So it mainly focuses on data insights and analysis, limited for broader research writing and thesis generation. Scriber, also, this is for citation generator. All you have to do is, this one will automatically do your citation. But ChatGPT actually can do this naman. ChatGPT, there is also citation machine. As in the office, we're using citation machines. Citation machine is another tool. But this one, if there is AI, what is good into this is, if there is missing, the scriber will be the one to search it online. And then Scriber will add the lacking information. Okay. Another is Consensus App. It's an AI search engine specifically designed for academic research, similar to Elicit. This is very similar to Elicit. Then there is also PaperPal. PaperPal is more into you can actually integrate more into the writing. You can integrate it into your Microsoft Word. While you are writing, it's automatic. When you write, you have your idea, automatic PaperPal will suggest to me a good topic, literature to cite. Julius also is available. This one naman is really more for data analytics, part of the data analysis, not so useful for social science type of research. If you wanted to make sure that your paper is readable, you know that the way we write, there is a readability formula to that. For example, Readability formula, there are many criteria. Readability scoring is actually according to the year level. So for example, the system will say your your readability is, for example, readability is postgraduate. What does it mean? It's hard to understand. That only postgraduate people can understand your paper. That is why your intention is to get a readability scoring that has lower level, low score. I mean, low value score. So for example, if the score is 11, what does it mean? Meaning a grade 11 can understand your write-ups. So it's called readability. Let's just try. I think this is the last readability. Like in my case, in my advising, I always tell my students that when you submit to me one first with readability, make sure that your draft is readable by at least a graduate student or a college student. So, for example, I will ask ChatGPT to develop make a draft about academic performance among students with special needs uh, in 300 words. And then I'm running this. Ayan, complete. Copy and paste. Assuming this is the one submitted by the student. I will paste it to the readability scoring. Paste it here. And then calculate. Calculate. Let's check all. And then calculate. So the website, what the website will do, the website will say, oh, the score is 17. Okay, 17, grade level. Reading difficulty, extremely difficult. Grade level is college graduate. And then what is good into here is there are suggestions on how to improve. So that's the score. This is the score of the item that we inputted. Okay, there are some journals that they have different variations of readability. They have Gunning Pratt or the GFRE. They have also the FKG, the CLR, the SMOG, and so on and so forth. But whatever category of that, we can say that the passage that we inputted is very difficult. Okay, so that's one, and I will continue on my. Okay, if you have a problem of choosing the right word in your objective, there is this Tudor. Tudor is you need to interact. Let's say, for example, how can I help you? A thesis statement. This is a thesis statement generator. So, for example, typing here, what's your name? Because he was asking what's my name. I'm Dave Marshall. So, hi Marshall. It's nice to meet you. Are you writing an essay or a report? A thesis. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Which is it? An essay or report? Report. Then there are verbs. I'm telling you this because students might have access into it already because this is free. No? So type here. All right, now please tell me which one of the following best describes what you will do in your report. Investigate, argue, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you choose one of the options? Okay, I type or I will type. Very interacting actually. Huh? So the meaning of or the impact of doing what is it, generative AI. Enter. Good. So how many points does she report on? Um, okay. Three. Okay, you need to use a verb immediately after will. Firstly, I will, and then blank. Define generative AI. Enter. Okay, you need to use a verb immediately after will. Secondly, I will, etc. Until Tudor will guide you and you can come up with the objective. Okay, what else? This one naman is a JS store. It will analyze, like for this one, all you have to do is to copy and paste. Let's say, for example, your sentence or your paragraph. You will copy and paste and then click analyze. After clicking analyze, the AI will recommend to you. So that means what I have inputted, these are the topics that you can expound. And what is good for JS Store is they have a related literature that you can download. Because these are the papers that are related from the passage I included. So it's called JS Store. Another is a connected paper similar to Bitmap. So say for example, I inputted digital trust, and then I found the paper. I can look at who cited and what are the connections of my paper in relation to other paper. No? So that is connected into that because it creates also visualization. Okay, Summit also is one. It can also shorten your file. I mean, long paper, long academic paper. All you have to do is to copy and paste the link, paste it there, and then Summit, click Summit. After clicking Summit, you can have the link. It can shorten to you. 4-minute read or just a minute read. It can condense. Okay? We cannot hear you well. Next, what is next? And these are the list. These are the list of tools, a review of related literature. If you want to validate the content provided by the generative AI to you, these are the links that you can find all the, not all, but many of the review or the research papers or articles. No, from Google Scholar to the UAJ, Infotopia, Light Guide, Springer, Thesis, and so on and so forth. You can access them on this PowerPoint. Okay, now in the last part of the discussion, which is more into the declarations and etc. As you know, Silliman University has just released the full implementation and the policies and implementing guidelines of our artificial intelligence integration. And we know also that research is one of the emphasis of the AI integration in Silliman University. Particularly, just lead on the aspects on research, case studies, and terminal reports. We have some those that we suggest that we can utilize AI for data analysis, that we should use AI tools for data analysis, literature review, and generating insight to enhance. The keyword really is to enhance, not to plagiarize, not to generate our own content, but to enhance efficiency of our research process. That we have to consider ethical implications when using AI in research, ensuring responsible data handling and transparent reporting. And then integrate AI recommendations into our research, acknowledging the tool's potential to offer valuable insights and suggestions. So what I think that we suggested and identified not to do with AI. Does not compromise. It's a no-no. Does not compromise ethical standards. Do not compromise ethical standards. Research ensure that AI-driven processes adhere to ethical guidelines and research integrity. Do not overlook human expertise. I already demonstrated to you that you have to go through the process of researching, you have to go through the process of thinking what should be the right and correct prompt ethically. And do not blindly trust AI results. I demonstrated to you that we should not just simply copy and paste, and that we have to guide our students that they will not copy and paste content generated by AI and just submit it to us to the teacher. So with this, let me introduce to you that, especially for teachers at Silliman teaching research, let's exercise now requiring our students to have AI declaration. So it's called Statement of AI Declaration. It's a piece of paper that all research teachers should require when students submit their work, which has to be included under ethical consideration in the chapter 3, especially in the proposal. And it has to be a part of the attachment. So there are four parts of the statement of AI declaration. The first column, in the first column, is called the AI tools. What you're going to do here is really the student should list all the AI being used. Okay? List all the AI being used, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Killbot, what is Grammarly, and so on and so forth. List, that's number one. Number one is AI tools, meaning the student should list all the AI tools. On the second column, description of how the information was generated. So description, how the information was generated. So for example, here, you can say description of how the information is being used. ChatGPT to generate for background research and self-study in the drafting of this assessment. Okay? Meaning, how did you choose? Or I use ChatGPT for improvement of my background. I use ChatGPT for improving the clarity, and so on and so forth. So if there are many usage, then they have to, can you share this matrix to us? This is shareable. This is, if you are from Silliman, this is available. The copy is with your dean, or I can share to you the link. If you are non-Silliman ma'am or sir, it is also available on the website of Silliman. But I can share the link later on, where you can download the full copy of the integration framework because the declaration is there. And then column 3 is prompts used. So you have to require your students what are the prompts they use. So if they have a very long list, then tell them to write them up, no? And then the students will be cautious. And then you might say again, Una, they said, sir, as in, there are many, sir, many problems, write everything. If that will take 10 pages. Then pagkasunod, short naman nagpili, wala na sir, wala naman mo gamit. We did not use any more ChatGPT because we know that the requirement is too long. Huh? And the descriptions of how the output was used. Description of how the output is used is that if there is the output, are there things that being done by the student before reflecting the actual content? Like the students will say, I modified this, I removed three sentences, or I modified this, I replaced the word of this, and so on and so on. No sound, guys. No sound, guys. No sound. I'm not sure if no sound. What about the others? Can you hear me? Ha? Ah, sa iya na. Okay. Sa imuha lang daw, ma'am. Ma'am or sir. Okay? So, again, very poor. If we are teachers teaching research, we have to require this to our students. And that this one is making sure that this statement, I mean, this document must be attached in the appendix of any thesis manuscript, but it must be cited in chapter 3 or in the ethical consideration. So in my case, in my class, I have a paragraph about AI's declaration or statement of AI declaration. A little description of the tools being used and a few description of how the information was generated, what are the prompts used, and description. And then in the body of chapter 3, see appendix for the complete copy of the statement of AI declaration. Okay? Are non-Suleimanians can use this? Yes, because the AI framework naman of Suleiman University is accessible to the public. Okay. Can you adapt? Can non-Suleimanian can adapt the declaration? Yes, because after all, this declaration also is based from several literature. We also adapted, we just modified some just to suit to Suleiman University. Okay, that is very important. Can we use this in a class, not necessarily a research class? Yes. For example, reporting. I ask, because sometimes I give reporting to the students, like 30 minutes reporting on this topic. I ask them, submit a statement of AI declaration form together with your report. So that I know that they are not just simply generating or just one click, they can submit the report. Okay? Can I use this in my class? Like for the assignment? Yes, you can do that. No, especially if you suspected the student will use AI. At the end of the day, you're not there. Oh, take note. Yes.
Sir, with regard to the grading of outputs, basically we would have rubrics for that. Yeah. Do we create different rubrics for students who do not students that did not use AI or for those?
No, there should be one rubric. There should be one rubric of your output. Now, if you allow having, I know a school, no, you can actually include the use of AI in your rubric. For example, if you don't use, you can give more points. If you use, you can give lesser points. For example, we are actually developing a rubric for inclusion. No? We're still studying on it. What we saw, a student utilizes AI ethically. And these are, the ethically there are descriptors. So something like that. You can incorporate a rubric, a line of scoring on the use of AI. That entails that you are allowing your student to use AI because that's part. So, possible na siya, yes, it's a practice. I know it's a practice of other universities because I interviewed some teachers in other universities that they incorporated a rubric about usage of AI. So, which is better, sir? To deduct, to deduct, to deduct a student, to deduct their score if the student is using AI or to add for those who doesn't have or did not use AI. It depends on you. If that is part of your learning outcomes, if that is part of your strategy. The point is, there is a mechanism that you regulate the use of generative AI. Because whether we like it or not, students will find ways and means. In our initial interview with the student, what is your inclination to use generative AI? We use if there is no instruction not to use. What does it mean? Because the teachers are not telling us not to use it. So it entails that there should be a clear instruction. That will bring me to the second, giving instructions. Teachers must provide clear instructions regarding the level of AI usage permitted in any assessment form or in research. For example, a teacher can include this in the instruction. In this assignment, students are allowed to use Gemini to improve the clarity of their idea. Be sure to include a document. Be sure to include and document all the prompts when submitting your essay. Okay? So, ako, in my research class, I always tell Gen AI is a no-no in this case. And then, because there is really a title, a stage in my research class that, okay, use AI. Or for example, they are for final presentation. I always tell them, use generative AI to improve your grammar. Okay? Okay, next. Uh, 352. AI detector. We're familiar, Turnitin, right? Because Turnitin is the only way that we can detect automatically an AI generated content. Teachers may use AI detectors. And the literature, many schools practicing, purchasing Turnitin because aside from duplication or plagiarism, it can detect AI generated content. However, teachers are reminded not to be overly reliant on this tool. Why? I'll tell you later. Opinions on the accuracy of generative AI detectors such as Turnitin are not supported by scientific research. Take note, in Turnitin to detect, dahil paki-close at dahil kay manunod niya na sila. Turn it in to detect. Turn it in to detect is basically based on algorithm. What is an algorithm? It's a formula to detect. Okay? Scientifically, it's just simply, there is just formula that they follow, that subject to verb agreement, and that all of these, and etc. For example. Meaning, there is a formula that they follow. And that relying solely on these tools can lead to errors such as mistaking AI-generated content for human work, false positive, which can negatively affect the academic environment. Much more today, there are AI already that can bypass AI detectors. I can mention three. That most probably our students are using this so that when they submit it into our LMS, we cannot anymore detect. Okay? The tools that I tested is Humboldt, Hex, and the Bypass GPT. Just put it here. So these are, again, these are AI that can bypass AI detectors. So what does it mean? It means that even if you have turned it in, if you run it, it can still detect, or it won't detect that it is generated by AI. Okay? So it's really difficult now. So what is very important? Educate our students. We organize Actually, we are organizing a seminar how to detect AI-generated content manually because there are ways to do it also. Of course, I cannot tell you that this afternoon. Now I hear you. Okay. Now, at Tiliman, we have turned in an AI detector tool. It is included in our MySol LMS. Teachers should engage with students through direct communication, follow-up questions, assessment to address suspicious submission. In other words, do not come up immediately a conclusion that if Turnitin gave you 80% AI generated content, don't conclude. You have to follow due process. You have to follow asking questions, you have to have a conference with the student, asking them, and etc. But still, to me, Turnitin is a good benchmark, a good uh, a good basis and a good reference, especially if we know that the student is not good in writing inside the class, and when they submitted their output, it's so good. That would good a good reference. So it is crucial for teachers to clearly define permissible use of AI for each assignment and assessment activity, and for students to disclose how AI was used in their submission. So if you are from Silliman, this is how this is turn it in. How do you turn it in? You aside from plagiarism, this is the result here, like overall similarity. Similarity means plagiarism, but in turn it in, it goes similarity. And then this is an example of the result of the AI generated content, like 22% similarity, and that the word count is there. So if you're Salimanian, there is a recording on how to activate your Turnitin. Now, if you're teaching, I really suggest, highly encourage you, especially if you're teaching research, I highly encourage you to my colleague in Siliman. I highly encourage you to use our my soul and set up an assignment and let the students submit it there. At least their conscious state will tell them that they have to be careful because there is Turnitin that will check their output rather than wala, rather than no first line checking of generative AI. I'll tell you, it gives a way of regulations also. If the students know that you are checking in my soul and there is started in, the students will be conscious enough and they are careful. I've been testing that actually to my students. I always tell them, oh, the result, I always process. Oh, how come there is 23% content? Are you really using this and that, blah, 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 and etc. Okay? So for more guidance, especially for setting up, we have our faculty training room. You can go there, AI integration upskilling, and there. So concluding remarks, 4 o'clock. Remember, generative AI tools are support tools. Just a support tools, not replacement for us, researchers. While generative AI tools like ChatGPT are incredibly powerful for assisting with various tasks in research, such as our data analysis, summarization, brainstorming, and even writing, they are fundamentally designed to augment the research process, again, to augment the research process, not replace the critical role of human researchers. That I wanted to relay to you that if we are teaching research to our students, while we are not there 24/7 to police them, but at least guide them, tell them that there are regulations, that there are ways to do it responsibly and ethically. Just to plug in, we are hosting a 2-day workshop. This one is really the actual hands-on from problem conceptualization, how to do literature writing, formulating survey questionnaire, using generative AI, analyzing quantitative data, analyzing qualitative data, and ethical considerations. It's a 2 day. This is hands-on workshop that you will really do hands-on experiment more ability of the generative AI and how to mitigate that. That's the end of my presentation. If you have more questions, I think I can still stay until in 2 minutes. If you have questions, and I can entertain them. I'll post here where to, I think, oh my God, where to download the full copy of the video. It's on the chat now, especially for non-Silimanians, where to download the article. You can download the full copy, the statement of declaration is there. For Silimanians, you can go to faculty training room and you can download all the forms in there. Hi to our friends in our partner university, University of Batangas. Can we ask for a copy of the presentation? I think yes. Sir. Can you say Francisco? I'll ask our faculty in charge for training. Because initially this is only for Silimanians, but we thought of expanding it to the community. Think there are questions? With that, may I request everyone, especially online participants, to switch on their camera for a photo opportunity. And first, can you handle?
You need to hear this if you're a digital enthusiast. Welcome to our exciting upskilling sessions. Get ready to empower your digital skills and take your career to the next level. Don't miss out. Register now. These sessions will be delivered through various modalities, including online via Zoom, in person at Dr. Mariano C. Lau Innovation, Creation, Invention, and Outreach Laboratory, and hybrid. Upskilling overview. Responsible use of technology. Promote ethical and responsible use of technology in both personal and professional settings. Artificial intelligence. Anchored in the university's AI integration framework, specific guidelines related to content assessment and research will be introduced. Innovations. Encourage innovative thinking and application in the curriculum such as micro-credentials and digital badging. Kindly visit this link, https://oursoul.su.edu/higsc portal for the list of scheduled upskilling sessions you want to join. We believe that by upskilling ourselves in these critical areas, we can collectively contribute to a more responsible and informed digital society. Register now. D.